It was summer on the island of Sodor, and the engines were working harder than ever. Constant demands for goods and many tourists made for an increasing workload for the engines, and they began to feel the pressure. One morning, the Fat Controller came to Tidmouth's sheds. "I understand that you've been working very hard for the last week, so I've decided that you need some help," said the Fat Controller. "Unfortunately, diesel is the only engine available." The engines were dismayed. They all remembered when Diesel told lies about Duck when he first came to Sodor. "But don't worry, I shall have him punished should he cause any trouble." This made the engines feel better. Diesel arrived at Tidmouth less than 10 minutes later. "Oh, it's you again. Thought your engines would have been scrapped by now." The engines were fuming. "Disgraceful," said Gordon. "Disgusting," said James. "Despicable," said Henry. "I'd watch my tongue if I were you, Diesel," put in James, "or the Fat Controller will make sure you're the one being scrapped." "Yes, James. Of course, James." Diesel oiled away to help Thomas, Percy and Duck shunt trucks in the yard. "Back again," said Thomas. "Come back to improve the yard, have you?" said Duck. "Oh, Duck, you know I have. And when I'm done, the Fat Controller will get rid of steam engines once and for all, and replace you with engines like me. Because we diesels are revolutionary." "Don't we know it?" remarked Duck. "Why don't you make yourself useful instead of standing around chatterboxing?" said Thomas. Diesel chugged away without a word. "Revolutionary. Ha!" Percy was confused. "What does that mean, revolutionary?" "It means you use big words to make yourself look smart," said Duck. But Percy wasn't quite sure. Later that day, Diesel was sent to the docks. Bill and Ben were there. "Can you smell a smell, Bill?" "What kind of smell, Ben?" "A sort of oily smell." "Yes, I smell it too." Diesel thought the twins were just teasing, so he ignored them. Salty pulled up beside him. "Ahoy, matey! What brings you to Sodor?" "The incompetence of steam engines, that's what," replied Diesel rudely. "You should give the old steamies a chance," said Salty. "They're nice engines once you get to know 'em." Diesel just snorted and got back to work. At last, Diesel's train was ready, and he backed up to it. Salty appeared again. "Arr, I think you should get yourself checked out. An awful smell has been drifting around the docks lately." "Leave me alone," said Diesel, "and go back to your steamy friends." Diesel oiled away with his goods train. Later, Salty was preparing the flying kipper. He applied his brakes, but he couldn't stop. His wheels slid on the rails. "Oh! Careful, Salty. You could have caused an accident." "Arr, there must be a problem with the rails." Salty's driver asked some workmen, and they examined the rails. "An engine has leaked oil onto the tracks," said one of the men. "That'd be Diesel," said Salty. "We'd better warn him." But it was too late. Diesel had already reached Gordon's Hill. He tried his hardest to pull the train up the hill, but he couldn't. He was leaking oil onto the tracks, making them slippery. He started to roll down the hill. Both the driver and the guard applied the brakes just in time, and he slid to a stop. His driver telephoned for help, so Edward was sent to be his back engine. He buffered up to Diesel's train. Edward pushed, and Diesel pulled, and slowly, the two of them made it to the top. That evening, Diesel was being examined, and had indeed sprung a leak. Then the Fat Controller appeared. "I'm sending you back to the other railway to be mended," he said. "And next time you come, if you cause any more trouble, I will make sure you'll get your punishment." The other engines were eavesdropping on their conversation. "Well, at least we now know what it means to be, reversionary, or whatever he said," said Percy. "What does it mean?" asked Thomas and Duck. "Unreliable," Percy answered with a smile, and everyone erupted into laughter. Diesel crawled back to the other railway, leaving only the stench of diesel oil behind.